Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. Today, let's listen to a beautiful story that teaches us about appreciating what we have. Once upon a time, in a quiet field full of tall grass and golden sunlight, lived a humble little country mouse. His life was simple, peaceful, and slow. But one day, his cousin from the busy town came to visit. He was a sleek and stylish mouse with stories of adventure in his eyes. And that's where a story begins. The country mouse was delighted to welcome his cousin. He prepared the best he had, a modest meal of grains and beans, and a jug of fresh water. He smiled proudly as he said, "Welcome, cousin. Here's what I eat every day. It may be plain, but it keeps me happy and strong." The town mouse twitched his whiskers and took a sip of water. "Plain? This is nothing compared to the wonders of the city. You must come with me. I'll show you how we live in style," he said, winking. Intrigued by his cousin's tales of the big city, the country mouse agreed. Together, the cousins traveled from the quiet fields to the bustling city. They crossed rushing rivers, raced through busy roads, and finally arrived at a magnificent house with shining windows and tall pillars. The country mouse gasped. "Wow, what a grand place," he whispered. "Just wait till you see inside." The town mouse replied with a flourish. He led his cousin through the house, past rooms filled with expensive furniture and paintings, until they reached the dining hall. There, on a large wooden table, was an incredible feast laid out for the royal family who lived in the house. There was cheese, some hard and some soft, served with crusty bread and juicy fruits. Roasted meat sat alongside dishes of butter and honey, and a whole roasted pig was the center of attention. The country mouse's eyes widened. "This is amazing," he whispered. "Go on, taste the good life," said the town mouse proudly. And the country mouse did. He took a bite of the bread, then sipped some wine. For a moment he felt like royalty. Everything was so delicious and exciting. But suddenly, bang! The door opened wide and in strode a huge, sharp-clawed cat. The mice froze. The country mouse screamed. "A cat?" Then they ran as fast as their legs could carry them. They dashed under chairs, through cracks in the walls, and into a tiny hole in the corner. Their hearts pounded with fear as they hid there. Trembling, the country mouse whispered urgently, "Is it safe?" The town mouse replied calmly, "Don't worry, this happens all the time." After the danger passed, the town mouse brushed off his fur and said, "Now, cousin, let's return to the feast. The food is waiting," he said with a smile. But the country mouse hesitated. His paws were still shaking. His mind was filled with the memory of the cat's sharp claws and glowing eyes. He shook his head firmly and said, "No, cousin, I've had enough. You may keep your grand feasts, but I prefer my beans and grains, where I can eat in peace, without fear of being eaten myself." The town mouse looked at his cousin in surprise. "Are you sure? This could be your chance to live like a king for a day," he said, puzzled by the country mouse's decision. But the country mouse was already making his way back to the hole. "Being a king for a day sounds exciting, but I'd rather be safe and happy in my own way," he said, disappearing into the hole. The town mouse watched him go, wondering about his strange decision. The country mouse, meanwhile, was scampering happily back to his field. He couldn't wait to dig into his simple supper of grain and beans. As he reached his cozy hole under the roots of an old oak tree, he knew he was exactly where he wanted to be. Life in the city might be full of excitement and luxury, he thought, but here in the quiet countryside, there was peace, and for the country mouse, that was worth more than all the cheese and cakes in the world. From that day on, the country mouse lived a happy and content life. Every day he would greet the sunrise with a twitch of his nose, feeling grateful for his simple home and the safety of his field. Sometimes he would think of his cousin and wonder if he, too, was happy in his fancy city life. But then the memory of the cat would make him shiver, and he would be glad to be back in his peaceful field. One evening, as the sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the country mouse was sitting outside his hole. He had just finished his dinner and was enjoying the cool evening breeze when he heard a familiar voice. Well, if it isn't the famous country mouse." hiding in his hole like a scared little thing, teased the town mouse, strutting towards him with an air of superiority. The country mouse looked up from his paws and replied politely, "Hello, cousin. What brings you back to the country?" The town mouse flicked his tail dismissively. "I came to tell you that you are missing out on life. Living here is like wasting your days away. Come back with me and I'll show you some real fun." The country mouse shook his head, a small smile playing on his lips. "Thank you for the offer, but my home is here. Besides, I saw enough of the city life for me. One adventure is quite enough," he said, chuckling at the memory of the cat and the close call he had. The town mouse, however, was not giving up so easy. He continued to persuade the country mouse to return with him, promising to protect him from any danger. But the country mouse politely declined, explaining that he liked his simple and peaceful life. The two cousins argued for a bit, each trying to convince the other that their way of life was better. But eventually, the town mouse stopped his attempts to persuade his cousin. He realized that the country mouse was truly happy in a simple life, and that no amount of persuasion would change that. As the night deepened and the stars twinkled above them, the town mouse prepared to leave. He turned to the country mouse and said, "Well, cousin, it was nice to see you again. I hope you'll reconsider coming back to the city with me." The country mouse smiled and replied, "Thanks for visiting, cousin, and who knows, maybe one day I'll take you up on your offer." The Tamais said their goodbyes, and the town mouse disappeared into the darkness, leaving the country mouse to the peaceful sounds of the crickets and the rustling leaves. As the first rays of sunlight touched the tall grass the next morning, the country mouse peeked out of his hole. The sky was a brilliant blue and the birds were singing merrily. He stretched and yawned, feeling more alive than ever before. He realized that his contentment wasn't just because of his simple life, but also because of his freedom to choose it. From that day on, whenever the town mouse visited, they would talk for hours about their different lives. The town mouse would regale his cousin with tales of the city, while the country mouse shared stories of the peace he found in the fields. Despite their different lifestyles, their bond remained strong, and they learned from each other the value of appreciating what you have, and the importance of true friendship. And so the story of the country mouse and the town mouse reminds us that happiness isn't found in luxury or adventure, but in the simple things like a peaceful life, a full belly, and the freedom to choose our own path. That's all for today, friends. If you enjoyed listening to this story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more amazing tales. Your support helps us bring more stories to life. Now, do you want me to tell you another story?